delighted that we're finally connected with our dear friends. One is 3,000 miles to the west, which I think is that way, and the other one is 2 miles southeast. So Luis Alonso is in MIT in Boston and Cambridge. He was an MIT Innovator Under 35. I think that was last year, as you can tell by his fresh visage. And he is in charge of the MIT Andorra Living Lab project at MIT. And he's joined from the small sovereign state of Andorra, where Catalan is the official language, tucked into the Pyrenees. We go there occasionally for football games, but it's a nation of 77,000 people, but 7 or 8 million tourists a year. So many people have been from this part of the world have been to Andorra as well. But why you're with us today is because you're a perfect exemplar of a project which is trying to create a smart city, smart country in this partnership that you have formed between Boston and Andorra. So, Luis, Caixo, buenos dias, good to see you. Vanessa Araujo, good to see you as well. So let's get started. Tell us, Luis, why Andorra? And you know, I have been around politics in this country for a long time, and people talk about smart cities, and I really haven't seen the benefits of that. So what's going to make this a different smart city or smart country from some of the hype we've seen before? So Luis, you first, tell us why Andorra.
Okay, I was not expecting the questions first, but yeah, let's go for that. So I'm going to explain it a little bit in the presentation, but Andorra is a small and very agile country where you have the government and the industry and the academia and the citizens committed to innovation, and that's very important. Also, they have access to data in under all the following all the European standards. That's also very, 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 very important. And you have the complexity of a country, but in the scale, let's say, of a city. So that helps a lot to work with them. And the most important thing is that Andorrans are very nice and smart, and they have very good food. So that's the reason why we work with Andorra.
well, look, let's see your presentation. And Vanessa, let's come back to you when we come back to see if you can respond to that, those wonderful, kind comments. So over to the presentation to Luis and Vanessa.
Okay, thank you very much, Martin, for the introduction, and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the invitation to this conference. So I have the pleasure today to introduce you to Andorra and to share with you why it is beautiful in terms of the country's innovation and how Andorrans approach the grand challenges of our time. Did you know there is a small country between Spain and France? So yes, as Martin has introduced, this is Andorra. It is not part of the European Union, neither EFTA or the Eurozone. However, the agreement establishes a customs union with most favored nations, a status between the Principality and the European Union. It is treated as an European Union state when trade in manufactured goods is concerned, and has the euro as the official currency. It has a high biodiversity, and it is in the process of obtaining a designation as the first country-scale biosphere reserve. And it is also a key location for sustainable development. So, according to the World Health Organization, Andorra is the country with the longest life expectancy in the world, with 87 years of life, more than in Japan or Spain. And it is likely that this is not directly related to being a living lab. So this could be one of the reasons we are interested in testing new pilots that bring sustainability and well-being to our society. And it has been classified as the 4th healthier country in the world by the Lancet. Yes, this tiny 468 square kilometers country with around 77,000 inhabitants has a great entrepreneurial spirit with an average of 8,800 companies, which is equivalent to 1 company for every 9 people. In the last 10 years, the foreign direct investment has represented close to 1,000 million euros, creating more than 1,600 new jobs. So it's time to understand why we think Andorra is interesting, is an interesting use case. To introduce our country more in depth, in this talk, we will share several diverse viewpoints on the following. We will begin by discussing innovation in Andorra, because Andorra's innovative nature has been essential since the founding and consolidation of the country in the 8th century. Next, we will explain our present-day challenges and share how we arrived here. And finally, we will review our plans and processes to create a country-scale living laboratory. So, to add some context, the first road that connected Andorra with Spain was built in 1914. This milestone allowed us to have more access to new cultures, tourists. We now have an estimated 8 million tourists per year, and to new trends and markets. And this was the first step to opening our country and interacting widely with other realities. But it was 10 years ago when we opened our economy thanks to the approval of the Foreign Investment Law. This started a new process of economic diversification based on creating new innovative sectors and developing projects like our collaboration with MIT, as Luis is going to explain to you.
Thank you very much, Vanessa. We will go back to you later, but let's keep talking a little bit about the collaboration. So the collaboration with Andorra inaugurated the MIT Media Lab City Science Group International Network of Collaborative Cities. Through this network, MIT is transferring knowledge and technology to local governments, stakeholders, and network labs in order to understand how human dynamics impact urban ecosystems. Today, this network has expanded across 5 continents, connecting challenges and solutions in a mutualistic ecosystem. Every year, a diverse group of cities approaches us asking to collaborate. And we carefully review all these opportunities. And as I was explaining to Martin, we have chosen collaborate with Andorra because it is the perfect partner. It is the perfect partner because Andorra has the complexity of a country in the scale of a city. In addition, Andorra is a small, agile country, offering rapid policy adjustments to address the needs of the living lab. Andorra has access to data following European standards. It has also interesting challenge to address. And of course, as I explained, they are very nice and they have very good food. So that's one important reason for traveling almost every year to Andorra. When we first started this collaboration with Andorra, it was back in 2014. Andorra was already the first country in the world to have deployed a fiber optic network to their country. That same year, Andorra dared to disconnect the ADSL, and in 2016, they switched off all the Cooper telephone landlines forever. Since then, any rural area, regardless of the number of inhabitants, has had access to the highest quality internet, allowing professionals to work in the middle of nature with the same connectivity as the professionals working in the biggest cities in the most advanced countries. For us at MIT, that was a clear sign of Andorra having a strong leadership, committed to innovation that is supportive of tech in order to improve the quality of life and well-being in the country. In addition to that, as Vanessa has explained, Andorra is a small and agile country where rapid policy adjustments are helping to develop real living labs on a country scale. During the past decades, the Andorran society has realized that they need to dream, to reinvent, and to create a new Andorra, a country that lives in balance between its tradition, nature, and new technology, oriented to foster and improve local innovation when attracting new international talent. MIT and Andorra connected at the perfect moment to create synergies to allow for disruption and impact. MIT was able to help Andorra to realize the advantage of being a small and agile country. In just a few months, Andorra was able to align the government, industry, research institutions, and society in order to face the challenge of becoming a smart country. Since then, since the first day of this collaboration, we were working very closely with Andorra R&D, and we learned that transitioning Andorra into a smart country was not an easy task. Even when the Andorra government and the society were committed to innovation, some external factors, such the international regulations, for instance, were limiting the development and investment in the project. However, despite these challenges, these first years of collaboration were tremendously useful to align national and international stakeholders to create new tools like the country data hub based on artificial intelligence, as well as implementing and testing some of our technologies like the Cityscope platform or our autonomous vehicle, PEV, among other technologies. The collaboration is helping Andorra to increase their own knowledge related to energy, data, tourism, sustainability, mobility, innovation potential, health, and so forth. At the City Science Group, we think that technology is just a tool to foster human-scale cities. We also think that it doesn't make sense for MIT to arrive in a city or in a country and impose solutions. This is why we have a network of collaborative cities where the experts are our local partners. People are the center of any collaboration, not the technology. And because of the capabilities of the people in Andorra, the Living Lab concept started to take root in Andorra society. Today, Andorra City Science Lab has a diverse ecosystem of national and international collaborators to help Andorra R&D improve their knowledge and capabilities under an innovative collaboration paradigm. This allows Andorra to test new policies, services, and products in many different areas such as sustainability, health, and sports, well-being, and so on. During these years of collaboration, Andorra has learned that research and innovation are the key to face today's and future challenges. Thanks to all this impressive work done during the past years, Andorra has been highlighted as a global reference several times in the international media. I am very proud to highlight that thanks to this learning process, Andorra was ready. Andorra was ready to face the first wave of the pandemic as a result of years of aligning the stakeholders and society around the smart city concept. Without any PCR in the country, Andorra was the first country relying on massive antibody testing in order to screen the entire population. Andorra performed a second round of antibody testing with the volunteer participation of more than 95% of the population, becoming the most tested country in the world, in order to know the real impact of COVID-19 in the population, as well as detecting the positive cases and making decisions related to lockdowns. Towards to achieve these goals, Andorra implemented a public health strategy based on creating 54 driving-through stop labs that allow them to know the immunity level of the country, to detect positive cases, and to aggregate as much data as it was needed. This effort was successfully achieved thanks to the support of the Andorra government, the help of more than 1,500 volunteers, including health professionals, and the collaboration of the entire population that was tested volunteer. Thanks to all this information, today Andorra and MIT are analyzing together the efficiency of mobility policies that were implemented during the outbreak of the pandemic, so new innovative solutions can be implemented in the future if needed in Andorra and in the world. This collaboration spirit, agile coordination, and easy access to decision makers is what makes Andorra a real country scale living lab. Finally, at MIT, we are happy to foster and witness how during these 7 years of collaboration, the Andorra Recerca i Innovació, Andorra R&D, has recently emerged unifying all the R&D institutions in Andorra. The Foundation Andorra Recerca i Innovació is building a more efficient and stronger team, connecting talent and opening Andorra to the world through different international alliances, such as the one that they have with MIT, the Skolkovo Israel Innovation Institute, France, Canada, a lot of institutions in Barcelona, and among other institutions in different countries and cities. So now, please let me give back the mic to Vanessa, and she will explain more.
Thanks, Luis. To continue with, I would like to explain that today we are working towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals in alignment with the United Nations Agenda, as we manifested in the recent Ibero-American Summit hosted by Andorra in the last edition. We tested our innovative and creative capabilities performing it in a hybrid format for the first time in their history and under pandemic context. So being small is one of our assets, not only because we are able to connect in an agile way the stakeholders that are involved in a project, facilitating the development of pilots or MVPs, but also because allows having the opportunity to create a fast fail approach that benefits benefits entrepreneurs and investors. So we are continuing to develop new challenges. As this year, we are going to launch a call together with Ricci Foundation to test new biotech and biomedical products and services from entrepreneurs that are interested in the Andorran Living Lab and connect them with the Boston healthcare ecosystem. So to add legal security and flexibility to make the Living Lab more attractive and with greater potential, a legal sandbox environment is being articulated. That is a controlled space testing environment in which products, services, business models, and innovative projects related to digital transformation and new technologies can be tested with legal security and flexibility. So, and we are here and thanks to our efforts, but mainly because 10 years ago, teams such as City Science saw through the stereotypes and found that to be small was a competitive advantage if you want to innovate and change places for a better society. As our national motto says in Latin, virtus unita fortior, or in English, union make force. So we are small in size, but with infinite realities in front of us. So you are welcome to connect with us to help create this future. And we have tried to show you that sometimes we have more capabilities than we think, and we need to find our weaknesses in order to make opportunities from them. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Louise. Thank you, Vanessa. We have travelled around the world today, and we have been to our sister city of Boston first thing this morning. It's always great to go back to Boston, but I have to say Andorra is the most beautiful spot that we have seen today, and that includes Finland and Sweden and Germany and Norway. So congratulations. But Vanessa, for you, you showed us some beautiful traditional images of Catalan culture or Andorra culture, but is it really true that this collaboration with MIT is an inflection point, that there's a different future ahead for Andorra, that you're really positioning yourself as a hub for innovation and research rather than perhaps people think just for visiting to ski?
Yes, for us it was a point of inflection, but not only because it was the first time that we create a synergy with such a huge center of innovation and research, but also because we were able to connect our talent with them, with the researchers of Media Lab, and to create a seed. That seed, in that moment, we were not able to know exactly what that means, no? But after the years and after the projects has being developed, we can see that this was a point of inflection. Also because not only the government or maybe the researchers or so on, they were aware of that collaboration, but also because all the society was understanding that something was happening. So this was the most important thing. So we believe a lot in the model of fourth helix, you know, that includes the academia, the industry, all these kind of stakeholders. And for us, MIT was it was an opportunity to develop this model in Andorra.
Well, thank you. And Louise, you got to work with Andorra. It's a small lab in some ways, but is it rewarding to see results in real time almost? If you're working with Mexico City, it might be 30 million people, but can you see some of the priorities that you've established? Can you see the results, positive results in real time from this collaboration on some of the projects that you've identified in Andorra?
Totally. No, I think this is one of the most important elements that we have when we work with Andorra. Then, like in few years, you can see how they are changing different policies. For instance, we can test autonomous vehicles. Our autonomous vehicle can be tested in Andorra because they changed literally the policy in few months, and we can fly drones in a safe environment, but also in the city. The Minister of Education came here and he spent some time with us, and then a lot of the things that the person was learning from the different researchers at MIT was somehow implemented in an educational environment. So you can see very quickly how the government, but also the industry, the citizens, and the academia are aligned and working together in order to have real impact, almost real time. And the most interesting thing is that they don't have a huge team of researchers, but they have, I think they are as good as I mean, they visit us and they were working with the MIT team, and I think they are as good as us. They are super good in many different ways. A lot of the technology, as soon as we transfer the knowledge and the technology, they were leading a lot of projects by themselves, and that is exactly what makes improvement and changes. Of course, in other places like Mexico, Vietnam, etc., there are other also very interesting elements. But here, again, you have the complexity of a country because you have all that complexity in the scale, but also in the agility of a city. So that's why actually we say that we work with cities because they are more agile than countries. But the truth is that with Andorra, you can see that they have that advantage in their hands. So that's true.
And Vanessa, and I don't want to hold you much longer because we're late coming to you, but they say that small is beautiful, and I take it when you're in Andorra and you need something, that because it's a small place, you have great advantages, and you really do punch above your weight. You're the only UNESCO biosphere designation, so you're doing a lot of very special things, but sometimes does it help to be small?
Yes, of course. We are more close to this kind of organizations, and it's easy sometimes to be considered, of course, as a country, because we are a country. But when we have to organize these actions here inside in our country, it's more easy for us, because for us it's not so difficult to have a meeting with, for example, an entrepreneur that needs a special assessment, and sit them with somebody from the government and and be able to talk in how can I say, in a constructive way. So for us, this is really interesting. Of course, we have some weaknesses, as for example, Luis has said. We don't have a lot of researchers here, but what happens is that, for example, finally you learn to be multidisciplinary sometimes. As in my case, I am biotechnologist, and finally I am doing something with sensors. But this is one of the nice things here, that you learn all the value chain that is needed to innovate, to make an innovative process and to have outcomes, and those outcomes could be translated in intellectual property or companies. So it's easy to understand the impact that in reality has those kind of projects for our society. So, well, this is, as we said, the weaknesses turn to a opportunity.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's unusual. I'm sure you bump into the Prime Minister in the supermarket, and you can talk to the Economy Minister at the restaurant. Louise, last word. You actually do believe that sometimes it's not the big bustling capitals, it's not the Londons and the Berlins only, but actually the Bilbaos and the Belfasts and the Andorras and so on. You think that maybe there's good energy on the periphery as well, Luis?
Totally. And well, we always say that technology is just a tool, and what makes a smart city is a smart people. I mean, like, and I am not saying that you don't have smart people in these big cities and capitals. What I am saying is that people that are in the periphery, most of the time they have to face challenges with less technology. So they have to be smarter how they use that technology, actually. So everybody thinks in Singapore as probably the most important smart city in the world. But the truth is that they have the cutting edge technology. The interesting thing are places like in Andorra that they were facing COVID without the PCR, that was the cutting edge technology. And then they found different ways of facing the problem, and they use another technology, and they made an innovative solution for this challenge. So from MIT, we like to learn these kind of approaches. Of course, the technology, big cities, that's fantastic, but usually you find this kind of innovation in the periphery, and that's why we are building a lot of collaborations with these places where we can make like actually a real impact, and it's not a small incremental benefit. It's like a real impact in the society of these places, and also they became a good example for the world, as is happening a little bit also with Andorra. No? So that's something that for MIT is very important, and we really like to learn from and with these collaborators.
Well, look, it's been fascinating to meet you. I don't know if you've noticed, Louise, but we are on the way to Andorra. So on your next visit, when we have this COVID pandemic sorted, perhaps you'll come and visit us in Belfast. If not, we'll both go to Andorra, and I'm sure they have a Rambla of some type. We can discuss these issues at length in Andorra. But certainly 2022, it'd be wonderful to bring this discussion to Belfast. So you're on an open invite. Hopefully it'll be better times, and you are both great inspirations, but it's particularly Andorra, a small place, great ambition, great audacity. So we salute Andorra, and we thank MIT and Louise for helping them on this new journey that they're on. So thank you both very much. Good luck. See you in Belfast next year.
Martin.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you, Louise.
See you soon.
And thank you for waiting so long. Thank you. Thank you.